recent survey of the price of personal information on the black market said that your social security number is worth about $3. Your credit card number is worth about $80. And your bank account information is worth about $1,000. Wesley, do you even have $1,000 in your bank account? Because otherwise,
the world may never know.
That'd be uneconomical. What's up, everyone? In case you haven't watched the other episodes, my name is Indra.
And I'm Wesley.
And this is our show, What's Up?
You get the bag and fumble it. You get the bag and fumble it. You get the bag and fumble it. I get the bag and flip it and tumble it. Straight off the lot.
Today, we're gonna find out what's up with cybersecurity. Like, I don't think I can check the news without seeing another story about some company being hacked. Like, UnderArmor just had a data breach, Orbitz just got hacked. Back in 2017, Equifax had one of the largest data breaches in history. Like, seriously, what's going on today?
Well, security is something that should never be taken lightly. I remember I took this class and they had the CEO of a major utility company come out, and he talked about how he had to build systems to withstand over 1,000 cyber attacks daily. That just kind of shows you the scale of what's happening out in the world today. Cybersecurity is a multifaceted space with a lot of key players, some of which are located right here in Atlanta. But before we go speak to some of them, we should form a base understanding about what cybersecurity is in the first place. I like to think about cybersecurity through the lens of a couple of things. What's at risk, what avenues a hacker could take to access it, and what current systems are built to thwart off an attack. Let's talk about what could be at risk. Companies protect all sorts of personal data and are controllers for a lot of important systems. For data, this is your personal information, such as your social security number, your address, like your phone number, your email address, stuff like that could be used to identify you. These companies also keep deep logs about how you interact with their products. This includes your transaction history, your post history, and your interests, and these are all held on the company servers. So we know that hackers can enter through bugs, unsecured ports, and whatnot, but what about through other less technical means, such as social engineering? It turns out that there's a company in Tech Square that solves that exact problem. It's called Pindrop. Pindrop serves as a second level of security for call centers. When a person calls in, they're able to match the person's voice to the device that they're expected to be using as a means to authenticate the call. This prevents the caller from social engineering or coercing the agent into giving out account information if the caller is not the correct person. So you guys work with call centers and stuff like that on securing those calls, or like how does that work?
Yeah. So for example, if you call your bank, the traditional way of actually authenticating a caller would be knowledge-based authentication questions. And so this would be things like, what's your social security number, what's your mother's maiden name? But the kind of the problem with that today is, due to all the data breaches that we've had, a lot of fraudsters can actually get around and have that information on the user that they're trying to defraud. And so what we do at Pindrop, right? We actually use other techniques, such as their actual voice of the caller, the actual phone print or the actual type of device that's being used by the caller, the behavior of the caller. And we use those techniques to both then authenticate that it is the real user that's calling the call center, as well as detect for fraudsters trying to commit fraud on the bank.
That was Pindrop's head of research, Terry Nelms. He's also working on research on secure dialogue with IoT devices like your Amazon Echo, your Google Home, or your Apple HomePod.
One last thing you have to understand about cybersecurity is that it's not all about the occasional overt, flashy data breaches. Cybersecurity is a constant battle, and attacks and breaches happen all the time. This is especially true in online advertising. To understand more, we met with the CEO of DevCon, an advertising technology security company that aims to stop digital ad fraud.
We are a cybersecurity company. We specifically are searching for money laundering and fraudulent revenue being generated in the online advertising space.
How does this fraud work? How are you able to discover it, and what are criminals doing specifically in this space too?
A good example of something that we do commonly is find tags that were injected nefariously onto a publisher site and that are discreetly siphoning off money. So it's kind of like skimming pennies. Now that you have the lay of the land of cybersecurity, you might be wondering, how can I help out? To answer that, we'll have to hear from the CEO of AppTega, a cybersecurity management software company.
There's a huge gap in the security industry that not a lot of people talk about. Monster.com did a survey last year, and there were 50,000 unfilled security jobs in the US alone, over 1 million globally. You balance out also the fact that a lot of the millennials, those that are new to the workforce, are not really picking security as a way to get into IT. A lot of them are going to be chasing the next new app or the next new big, cloud software company. So it's a real challenge for organizations, even large enterprises, to build and maintain a security team. And then you go down market to that, companies with 500 or 1,000 employees, Most of those don't even have, CISOs, Chief Information Security Officers.
Thank you for joining us today on our journey throughout cybersecurity. We covered a lot, from securing our power grid, to major corporate data breaches, to digital advertising fraud, to social engineering. We also covered how these threats happen and what you can do to help.
All right, so that's it for this episode of What's Up. Catch up on the other episodes for more interesting news, events, technology, and trends around Tech Square, Atlanta, and beyond.